Congress appears finally ready to pass an infrastructure bill. Senate leaders negotiated an agreement on a $1 trillion bill that's part of President Joe Biden's agenda. It would include $550 billion of new spending on things like roads, bridges, internet, childcare, and health care. A mix of Republicans and Democrats has pushed it forward for a vote. So what would the plan mean for East Texas? Well, helping us answer that question is U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Secretary Buttigieg, I appreciate you joining us.
Sure thing. Glad to do it.
A lot of the talk about this massive bill has been about what it'll mean for the big cities. But what would it do for a more rural area like East Texas?
Well, what it means for East Texas is better roads, better bridges, better opportunity. We've already been doing a lot to support the area. Tyler's own Pounds Regional Airport recently got a grant to support airport work. The Federal Transit Authority did a grant of hundreds of thousands of dollars to help support transit. But we've got so much more work to do. Look, across Texas, there are, I believe, 19,000 miles of highway that are in poor condition, hundreds of bridges that need work. And we see this, whether it's East Texas or anywhere else in the U.S. We've unfortunately not been keeping up with our investments. Just as you got to take care of a house, you got to take care of a business and its physical plant, you got to take care of a country's infrastructure. And the fact that we haven't as a country in the last 30, 40 years, that's starting to catch up to us. It's affecting our economy. It's limiting opportunity. And now's a chance to change that. So we have Democratic and Republican senators at the table right now coming to an agreement saying, we've got to get this done. And we're very hopeful that even as we speak, the final details will be hashed out because there's really no more time to lose when it comes to getting better infrastructure for Americans.
What do you think were some of the points of compromise that got some Republicans to support this plan?
Well, there's been a lot of work adjusting the provisions on everything from how the funding for roads and highways is going to work to what we're going to do for transit, how to get try to get broadband into the package. We think of that as infrastructure today. It's different from a road or a bridge, but I would say you need an internet connection just the same as you need a highway connection if you want to do well in today's economy. And again, Texas is an example of a place where there are a lot of people who still don't have access to fast, affordable internet or live in an area where there's only one internet provider, which puts you at a real disadvantage compared to when there's good competition. We can take steps to do something about that. So these are things that are obviously very complicated when you go to actually work them out, put the dollars lined up against the priorities and work out how the policies are going to work. But we think that there's a way. We've seen tons of a successful negotiation and agreement to get us to this point, and very hopeful that a bill can be put on the floor. And the sooner, I'll tell you, the sooner it can get to the president's desk for him to sign it, the sooner my department can start getting those dollars out to East Texas and everywhere else they're needed around the country.
We've heard presidents declare that it's infrastructure week for so long that it's just a meme at this point. It's something that both parties clearly value, so why hasn't anybody been able to get a bill through?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think the simple one-word answer is politics. Politics has gotten in the way time and time again, but right now, we're in this moment where I actually think it's good politics and it's good policy. And I say that because what I'm finding, every day I'm talking to Republican and Democratic members of the House and the Senate. We don't agree on everything for sure. But what I'm finding is, they're all from somewhere and they all want to be able to go home and talk about what they delivered. You don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican to see that we got to have better roads and bridges in this country, to see that broadband internet access matters, especially in rural areas. And even some of the things that are maybe newer to think of as a bipartisan priority are getting picked up. I'll give you an example. We're trying to do more around supporting electric vehicles. This is actually something that I think both parties can begin to see opportunity in because it creates a lot of jobs. And if you're in a rural area and you get one of these electric pickup trucks, it's rural drivers who are driving the most, which means you're burning the most gas, which means you'll save the most money. If you have one of these electric vehicles, you can plug it in right in your house. And, that kind of torque for a lot of folks who are doing towing and other things that really put a truck through its paces, you're going to see a benefit with those electric vehicles. So we're seeing some of those old party lines break down. Again, CEOs and labor groups sitting at the table together saying, we want this. Democrats and Republicans saying, let's go get this done. And that's why I think we have a political window, even in today's divided, sometimes paralyzed Washington. I think this is one that could be a win for everybody.
The lack of broadband access is something we talk a lot about here at CBS 19. This bill calls for $65 billion for high-speed internet. If it gets passed relatively soon, how long do you think it would take to actually build out the kind of broadband network that could make a place like East Texas more competitive within the larger economy?
We know some of these things we can do very quickly, including policies that encourage competition. Other things are going to take longer. We're talking about laying fiber out to communities that maybe didn't have it before. There are even some communities so remote that fiber might not be the answer. You might need some kind of wireless solution. But what we know is that each passing year, we're paying a price already. We're paying the price of business as usual. And so the right time to start this effort is, the best time to start it is yesterday, and the second best is today.
There are plenty of people who would say, look, we still have good roads to drive on. We still have clean water to drink. We have airports in Tyler and Longview or Dallas and Shreveport. So why is there the urgency to do this now?
I guess, one thing I know about Texans is a sense of pride that we ought to have the best. You can get by on a road with some holes in it, or a second-rate piece of infrastructure, a port that's maybe kind of a B-, C+. You can get by, but you can't be the greatest country in the world. So the question is, do we or do we not want to remain the greatest country in the world? And I'll tell you, our competitors have made their decision. I mean, look at China. They're investing enormous amounts in their infrastructure. They're not doing it for fun. They're doing it because they see a competitive, economic, and strategic advantage. And the same thing is true for any country. We will miss out on the jobs. We will miss out on the economic growth. We will miss out on the chance to win the future if we continue to think it's okay to fall out of the top 10 on infrastructure without any consequence.
Secretary Buttigieg, thank you for the time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Great being with you. Take care.